Hey, how y'all doing? So this video is about the three faces of Bray Wyatt. This is coming off the back of the SmackDown episode from June 19th, where Bray Wyatt brought back, I guess you could say, the Buzzard or the Eater of Worlds. So let's go into this video. So I guess you could say the Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt, which is kind of a more demonic version of the original Bray Wyatt, re-debuts on SmackDown. Obviously, the purpose of this character is going to be to continue the feud between Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman. My guess is going to be that since Funhouse Wyatt was defeated, that this Bray Wyatt is going to appear. Probably going to challenge Braun Strowman in Extreme Rules. Then he too will be defeated. And then in a couple of months, we will have Bray Wyatt versus The Fiend. And then The Fiend is going to take the title from... did I say Bray Wyatt versus The Fiend? That was stupid. The Fiend versus Braun Strowman. And maybe then we'll see Strowman finally lose the title. Even though I don't want The Fiend to have the belt. Because I don't think the character needs the title. But I think that's kind of how you end the feud. Maybe at Hell in a Cell, you have The Fiend versus Braun Strowman for the Universal title. And Strowman would be a lengthy transitional champion, which is kind of what he was going to be anyway. So whatever. But this video is going to be mostly about Bray Wyatt and the interest of bringing back this particular character. So I've said before that Bray Wyatt was a magician, and a lot of people probably didn't pay attention to that. So what is the magician? The magician is an archetype from a book of King, Warrior, Magician, Lover, Rediscovering the Archetype of the Mature Masculine by Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette. And the magician is a very specific type of energy within the male body. So let me explain to you what it is. I'm going to read a short passage. The magician is the knower, the master of technology. He is the ritual elder who guides the process of transformation, both within and without. The human magician is always an initiate himself, and one of his tasks is to initiate others. All knowledge that takes special training to acquire is the province of the magician energy. The magician is the holy man, the witch doctor, the shaman. He understands the links between the unseen world of the spirits, the divine world, and the world of human beings and nature. It is to him that people go to with their questions, problems, pains, diseases of the body and the mind. He is the confessor and the priest. So if you understand what I just said as far as the magician you could look at as a mentor, but he's also somebody who has been mentored. He is the initiate and the initiator. So Bray Wyatt in this character with Braun Strowman, he is saying that he created Braun Strowman. Essentially, I brought Braun Strowman in, I have to take Braun Strowman out. So Bray Wyatt, who was initiated by Sister Abigail, who showed him the darkness and all this type of stuff as far as the character is concerned. Now he showed Braun Strowman the darkness, and now Braun is turned against him. And so he is trying to use what he knows to destroy Braun Strowman, of course. Now, the characters of Bray Wyatt all are based off pretty much the same concept. But most of the characters, the character of the magician, there are, these types of things are based on Jungian psychology. So there's a light side and a dark side. And the dark side of the magician is called the trickster. Now, if you feel familiar with the trickster, is like the Joker from the Batman, right? So the Joker is, chaotic, he's destructive, sometimes even self-destructive. And he's a liar, a manipulator. He's everything evil. And essentially that's what Bray Wyatt's character is. But he's less evil in other forms. So in other words, the Fiend is sort of a pure... if you ever watch Dragon Ball Z, there's a small version of Majin Buu who is like, what they call a Kid Buu, quote unquote. That is sort of the Fiend. He is the purest form of Bray Wyatt's evil. He's a horrible individual, a monster, unfeeling, uncaring, whatever. And then you kind of have the Eater of Worlds, which is a little bit more human as far as he actually cares about people. He cares about things. He wanted to, he cared about Randy Orton, and Randy Orton turned on him. He cared about Daniel Bryan turned on him. He cared about Luke Harper. He cares about people. He cares about things. Like, he's kind of evil, where he's evil for sure. He's a manipulator of children, especially, but he's not a monster. He says that he's a monster, but the version that thinks that the Eater of Worlds is a monster is actually Funhouse Bray. And Funhouse Bray is, probably, he's sort of the most mystical of them all. He's sort of whimsical, but he's also the most beatable. We've seen Funhouse Bray get beaten up by, Seth Rollins, and, in the Funhouse get beat up by Seth Rollins. And he, he kind of doesn't really use his mystical powers as much. But that's sort of how, the character is working, is that they have different, Bray Wyatt is evil, period, but he has certain levels of evil that he kind of goes in his bag and becomes a little bit more evil as time goes on. So this makes the storyline with Braun Strowman very interesting, because Braun is the last member of the Wyatt family that is still on the WWE roster. And kayfabe, he is sort of going, I guess he's going to be the prodigal son of Bray Wyatt, because Eric Rowan didn't work out, Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan were traitors, and Luke Harper didn't work out, but Braun Strowman kind of achieved, a high status, and Bray kind of takes credit for that. So that's sort of, it doesn't really require Braun to do much of anything. That's kind of the interesting thing about this character and the storyline to me, is it doesn't really require Braun Strowman to do anything. He just kind of has to be Braun Strowman, the black sheep of the Wyatt family. And it's very interesting also that the symbolism of the black sheep being the important one, right? Because Braun was the worst wrestler out of all of them. He was the youngest out of all of them. He was the greenest out of all of them. And he was the one that made it to the main event, basically just based off of, staying power, and he has the size. And he actually did get over, A lot of people hate Braun Strowman now, but he actually did get over as a monster heel. So, they're trying to say, like, the Strowman Express and the power of that Braun Strowman now possesses, kayfabe wise, is power that he learned from Bray Wyatt, and I like this story. It's not just a matter of we're doing 3 faces of Foley. That's just not it, because multiple people can change characters. You change characters for storyline purposes, and I like this storyline purpose of changing the character, even though Bray Wyatt said that he will never turn into the evil bad man Bray Wyatt again. Now, this is the Funhouse Bray talking, right? Funhouse Bray, he cuts a cardboard cutout of Eater of Worlds Bray Wyatt, the butcher's apron. He cut that guy in half, and he said he's never going to come back. And now the guy's back. So that should tell you right now that Bray Wyatt is a liar. But that's part of him being evil. He's always going to lie. He's always going to try to manipulate you. And that's what this is. This is Bray trying to manipulate Braun Strowman. He's like, okay, you beat me once, but you beat the Funhouse Bray, who is, not as evil as I am. But now you have to beat me. Your sort of father figure. Now you have to beat that guy. And, and once it will happen, maybe it'll be a more difficult match. They'll probably do some type of gimmick match, but Braun Strowman will likely win that match, and then Bray Wyatt's going to come back a couple of months later and be like, okay, I tried to be nice. Now you won't let me be nice, so I'm gonna have to completely destroy you now. I'm going to have to introduce you to the Fiend, and I'm actually very excited about. I'm more excited about Braun Strowman and the Fiend and this shit that I've headcanon booked, because it makes sense to me. More so than what's actually going to happen, because they have to get to that point. But this is an interesting thing, because when we saw the 3 faces of Foley working, the 3 faces of Foley, do love Cactus Jack and Mankind. When they did the character switch in the match with Triple H, Hunter Hearst Helmsley, I think it was at Madison Square Garden, I think it might have been, where Triple H thought he was going to wrestle Mankind, and he ended up wrestling Cactus Jack. I thought that was a really badass moment, and people understood immediately, even though that was Cactus Jack's debut in the WWE, people understood that things were going to the next level, right? Like, Triple H has been able to abuse Mankind and beat the shit out of him for weeks and weeks up to this point, but now he's facing somebody different, even though it's the same material form. Psychologically, we know that it's a different character. It's Cactus Jack. This is different. You're not gonna out deathmatch Cactus Jack, and I think that's kind of how we're gonna feel. Except for it's not gonna be a surprise this time. Now we're gonna actually be able to see the Fiend coming, and I'm super fucking excited for it. What do you guys think in the comment section? Let me know. What do you guys think about Braun Strowman versus Bray Wyatt? Are you interested in, the Eater of Worlds returning? And I was going to do more videos on, you know, the archetypes, and I'm still going to do it. But whenever I talk about Bray Wyatt, I have to bring up that he's a magician so people can understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about characters. But I'll talk to you guys later.